Assassin's Creed Origins is a game about taking revenge on other people for a crime that you committed. This sprawling open-world epic set in ancient Egypt served as a reboot for the stagnating Assassin's Creed franchise and took the series in an entirely new direction. In this video, I'll be reviewing Assassin's Creed Origins and telling you whether it's worth your time today. We'll be covering all aspects of the gameplay, and there will be some spoilers in the story and Aya sections, but I'll warn you in advance. So buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and let's have an adventure in ancient Egypt. The most striking thing about AC Origins is the setting. The open world of ancient Egypt is an absolute joy to explore. From the impressive cities of Alexandria and Memphis to the sprawling deserts, ancient tombs, and towering pyramids, this is a world you can joyously get lost in. I can confidently say that ancient Egypt is one of the best, if not the best, setting in the entire Assassin's Creed franchise. My absolute favorite part was exploring the tombs, dormant Isu sites where Bayek can gain additional skill points and uncover secrets of the forebears. Diving into these tombs, torch in hand, made me feel like Indiana Jones in search of riches, secrets, and glory. And if you manage to complete the constellation puzzles and collect enough silica in these tombs, you can unlock this really badass Isu armor set. It does look a little out of place in the cutscenes, especially with Bayek's voice modulation, but I couldn't care less.
Unfortunately, I am accounted for. Would you consider a genuine arena champion?
However, the world design in Origins did make a major change to the parkour gameplay. Most of the early Assassin's Creed titles saw us exploring densely populated architecture in city environments like Venice, Damascus, Rome, and Constantinople. A big part of the gameplay was bounding across rooftops to get between objectives, but in Origins we'll spend most of our time on the ground or on horseback. Even in city zones like Alexandria, it's often most efficient to travel through the streets instead of the rooftops. The environment simply does not support parkour like the old games did. I understand why some fans of the earlier games were upset about the changes to parkour, but I personally don't mind this change. I'm an open world game junkie, so I still enjoy exploring in this way. And I didn't even start playing Assassin's Creed until the recent trilogy, so I don't have the same attachment to the gameplay systems in previous titles that OG fans may have. I still thoroughly enjoyed exploring Alexandria in particular. But one minor gripe I have with exploration is, what the hell is going on with the physics in this game? Why does it feel so bad to run up a flight of stairs? It's like Bayek has sandbags around his ankles every time you need to climb the steps. And why does Bayek get stuck on the environment so often? Exploring in Assassin's Creed Origins be like... Environmental design was not the only thing that got overhauled in Origins. The combat system was changed and revamped as well. I'm gonna be honest, the combat in early AC games was kind of dog shit in many instances. You'd mostly just wait for the enemy to attack, and then one-shot them with the counter kill. AC2 did have some depth in terms of other combat options like throwing dirt, snatching enemy weapons out of their hands, or using the gun, but still, most combat encounters would involve waiting for the enemy to attack, and then dicing them up with your hidden blade. Origins combat has more in common with action RPGs than classic AC games. It's nowhere close to the greatest combat system I've ever seen, but it's visceral and fun enough to be satisfying. Well, maybe not as satisfying as chain-killing a whole group of Borgia in AC Brotherhood. In my first playthrough of Origins, I didn't really enjoy the combat, but that's because I wasn't parrying. Once I started parrying, everything changed. Unlike Odyssey and Valhalla, where parrying is a near immediate reaction, in Origins you need to already have your shield up in order to initiate a parry. Nailing a successful parry staggers the enemy and creates an opening to counterattack. It took a while to get used to the parry timing, but once I did, I was just using this nonstop and dicing up enemies left and right. One area where Origins combat falls short, though, is enemy variety. You end up fighting the same 3 or 4 basic enemy types throughout the entire game. Sure, you'll also end up fighting crocodiles and other wild beasts in the open world, but a lot of the combat encounters will end up feeling kind of samey throughout the duration. This is a common problem in open-world action games and RPGs, though, and From Software seems like the only studio that takes enemy variety seriously in this genre. Enemy AI is also hilariously underbaked. Famously, you can set enemies on fire, and they just sort of run around until they drop dead. For a stealth game series, many early Assassin's Creed games were missing some core stealth gameplay features, like crouching to sneak. So Origins also overhauled the stealth gameplay, borrowing elements from Ubisoft's Far Cry franchise. The enemy detection meters, whistling to attract enemies, hiding in tall grass, these are things we see in pretty much every stealth game today. And just like Far Cry, many bandit outposts and enemy camps will have caged animals, which you can let loose for some hilarious man versus beast encounters. Your foes will be calling for backup faster than you can say, "Who let the dogs out?"
Got him lined up! I light the beacon! You are a god! Stop and die!
If you're expecting social stealth elements in this game, like crowd blending, well, you can kiss those goodbye. This is an open world action game now, baby! Bayek will obtain the signature AC Hidden Blade fairly early in your playthrough, allowing you to sneak up and one-shot most enemies. However, higher level enemies and elites may require multiple hits to kill if you haven't been upgrading your Hidden Blade. The gear and progression systems in Origins are a mixed bag. Origins opted for a looter-shooter style for weapons, which the series continued into Odyssey as well. Weapons have a quality and level attached to them, and you'll need to constantly upgrade your weapons throughout the playthrough, or you'll do all damage. Weapon quality dictates passive stats and abilities like healing on parry or increased critical damage. Rare and legendary weapons have the most passive abilities attached to them, but they cost more to upgrade, with legendaries costing 5k to upgrade at each level. Listen, bro, Bayek ain't got that type of money. I ended up equipping rare weapons and shields for the majority of my playthrough because I simply couldn't afford to keep upgrading the legendaries. Aside from your actual weapons, you'll also need to upgrade your gear slots like the Bracer, Hidden Blade, etc. These slots provide things like increased melee and rage damage, improved HP, and more that carry over across all your equipment. In order to upgrade gear slots, you'll need to hunt animals and attack convoys to acquire upgrade materials like hard leather and iron ore. I particularly enjoyed fucking with the convoys. There was something so hilarious about the chaos I could sow, especially in the city environments. But throughout my journey in Origins, I couldn't help but feel like something is missing. And then I realized it. I wish this game was an actual RPG. Having played Valhalla and Odyssey before I picked up Origins, I can't help but be disappointed by the lack of RPG elements when it comes to story and dialogue choices. If you watch my channel, you'll know I mainly play RPGs, so I really enjoyed making big story decisions in Odyssey and Valhalla. Origins doesn't have any of that, though. There are no dialogue or story choices. The plot is linear, and all of Bayek's dialogue is uttered without any player input. Now, this isn't inherently a bad thing. I like linear action games, too. I just prefer RPGs, and I would have been more invested in the story of Origins if I could have made some impact on it, rather than being a passive spectator in cutscenes. And this is where we're going to get into spoiler territory, so if you don't want spoilers, then skip to this timestamp for the conclusion. The story of Assassin's Creed Origins is a one-dimensional revenge plot with a one-dimensional protagonist. The plot of this game can pretty much be summed up as Bayek equals big mad. Bayek spends the entirety of the game singularly focused on tracking down the men who killed his son Khemu. But he could save himself a lot of time if he just bought a mirror. You see, a shadowy organization called the Order of Ancients attacked his hometown of Siwa, capturing him and demanding access to the vault. In the ensuing chaos, Bayek attacked one of the cult members, but accidentally stabbed his son in the heart. El Bayek. Bayek and his wife Aya then dedicate their lives to tracking and eliminating members of the Order to avenge their son's death. Listen, I like a good old Illuminati plot as much as the next guy, but this one felt a little bit stale to me. It's like a scuffed version of AC2's story. Bayek and the player are never really confronted with the recklessness of his actions. No moments of regret or self-reflection on how Kemu's death could have been avoided, just pure, unadulterated bloodlust.
You see this? I can read my own name, Nat!
I bludgeoned Medunamun with this.
I hate that we have to do these things. But I am grateful that you did.
If I am honest, I took pleasure in it.
Bayek's revenge ends up tearing homes apart as well, but the writing always seems to absolve Bayek of any wrongdoing by focusing solely on the deeds of his enemies. For instance, you end up killing the Scarab in front of his young son, and Bayek's just like, he's the Scarab, bro. What did you expect?
Ah! Father! I'll cut you down like you did my father! I got you all, friend! I hate you!
Take care of him. Try to make him understand if you can.
If you visit the salt mine town, you'll run across the Heron's ex-wife and his salty mistress. The Heron was your first target in the game that you killed during the tutorial. His mistress will end up luring Bayek and some other dude into a trap as a way of taking revenge on Bayek for snatching her meal ticket away from her.
I loved him! He promised me a better life! You took him from me!
Now I see. You're Rujak's mistress. Well, your fucking lover killed my son! I feel nothing for you!
But before you can really reflect on how Bayek's actions have ruined other people's lives, the other dude just tosses her off a cliff and is like, damn dude, that was crazy.
What a shame. Such a pretty girl.
I wish Origins would have explored and questioned Bayek's actions a bit more, and maybe also introduced some more nuance with the antagonists as well. Because as it is, the writing in this game is very surface level. Bayek also ends up getting cucked out by his wife Aya, who decides she'd rather kill people than stay with him. Aya is an interesting character, but I didn't particularly like the way she was integrated into the game. You spend 99% of the game playing as Bayek, but then switch to Aya for the final boss fight. She even stabs Julius Caesar along with Brutus. Like, what the fuck? I want to play through the final levels with the protagonist, not some ancillary character I have no connection with. According to an investigative report by Bloomberg, Bayek was originally supposed to be killed off early in the game, leaving Aya as the lead protagonist for most of the journey. But Ubisoft management severely cut back Aya's role because they didn't think a female lead character would sell units.
Can't believe you trusted a woman to do something of such importance.
Apparently the same thing happened with Eve Fry in AC Syndicate. This is kind of funny, seeing as just a few years later, all of Ubisoft's marketing is focused on female characters, minimizing their male counterparts. Just go on Ubisoft's official Instagram accounts if you don't believe me. We see lots of Cassandra, female Danny, and female Eivor, but you'll be hard-pressed to find Alexios or the male leads in Far Cry 6 and AC Valhalla. But hey, maybe they're just trying to distract from all those harassment allegations. For AC Origins, what we're left with is a few underdeveloped gameplay segments where we play as Aya. These are easily the worst parts of the game. The naval battles don't have enough depth to make them interesting, and Aya's combat kit is severely lacking compared to Bayek's. You don't have the abilities to tag enemies with the bird, and Aya's twin butter knives just feel so shitty to fight with. As a result, I was always begging for these sections to be over so I could get back to playing as Bayek. It's a bummer because Aya is an interesting character who was seeded into the lore all the way back in Assassin's Creed 2, but her gameplay segments just ain't it, bro. Is Assassin's Creed Origin worth playing today? Yes, I had a fun time with this game despite its flaws and my desire to see more RPG elements like story and dialogue choices. The world of ancient Egypt is captivating. The combat is incredibly fun, especially once you get the hang of parrying. The assassination missions are fun despite the lackluster and disjointed storytelling. If you're a fan of open-world action games, then you should definitely check out Assassin's Creed Origins. The game is still full price despite coming out in 2017, so I'd definitely wait for a sale though. Origins usually goes 50 to 80% off during Ubisoft sales on Steam and console, so I don't recommend paying $60 if you can wait for one of those. So there you have it, my review of Assassin's Creed Origins. I also have reviews of AC Valhalla and Odyssey, among other Assassin's Creed games, so you should definitely watch those as well if you haven't already. I'll put links in the description and pinned comment. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more reviews and RPG content. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.